So we're going to learn today how to set up a geodatabase and domains for fields that we're going to create in order to prep our work for gathering data points on microclimate on our Eau Claire campus next week. So to start off, we're going to want to create a geodatabase. So we're going to go to your folder that you're working in. Mine's Lab 4. You'll click on New, File Geodatabase. And once it loads up, you're going to have to name it. So we're going to name it Microclimate 2, since we already have one up here. All right, and then now that that's created, that's all it is. We have to go down to Properties in order to edit the domains that we're going to use for the fields. So for the domain name, this is where we're going to start creating it. With microclimate data, we're going to want wind speed, wind direction, humidity, dew point, temperature, all those fields. So in order to set up domains for each one, to minimize user error, we can group a couple of them up, such as the temperature ones, but we'll start off with wind speed, and we're just going to go ahead and call that speed, and then give it a description. And then the second one, wind direction. But we're actually just going to call that direction. And this one we're going to do in 360 degrees, so we can get a little bit more accurate than the north, south, east, west. So in 360 degrees. And then here we have humidity, which is its own entity. And then for dew point temperature and temperature on the surface, we're going to use the same domain. So we're just going to call this one temp range, and that'll come in handy a little bit later. And then use for temp surface, 2 meter, and dew point. And then the final domain we're going to want is ground cover. So that one, if it's more than 50% say snow, then concrete, we're gonna consider it snow. So now that we have them created, we need to actually edit what they will do. So let's go back up to speed, and then down here in the domain properties, we can click on short integer, which is all we need because we're just going speed 0 to 50 miles per hour. So we only need 2 integers. And then that is going to be a range, so the minimum and then the maximum. So 50 miles per hour. And we don't need any codes because it's just a range. So then we'll go up to direction for the next one. And this one, same thing. Short integer, 0 to 360. Humidity, we're going to also do short integer, and that is 0 to 100%. And then temperature range, we're going to do a short integer, and then we can put in negative values. So negative 30, because it gets cold here, to 60. And then the ground cover is where it gets a little tricky. We're going to want a text coded values. So what we can do down here is put snow and then type a description. So more than 50% snow cover. And then we're just going to do that for all these. Concrete, dirt, and gravel. Descriptions are going to be the same. And we always want to put other as well, because then you'll always get in those weird circumstances where you don't really know what to put. just got to go back through and edit these ones. All right, then we can go ahead and OK. So the domains are all set. Now we need to create a feature class with the points that we are going to create next week. So we'll go to right click on the geodatabase, new feature class, and we're going to call it micro climate points. We're going to make sure that it's a point feature class. And since we're in Wisconsin, we're going to use the, let's see, where is it? All right, so then here is where we are going to create the field names. So we want wind speed, and that was a short integer. Wind direction. Humidity. Dew point. Temp at the surface. Temperature at 2 meters. Ground cover, which was that text field. And then we always want a notes field name, just in case we need to write down any anomalies or anything like that. So let's go back up to the wind speed. And then when we have it selected, we can go down here into the field properties, which you can see a domain field. So if we click in there, it'll be a drop down of the ones we created before in the geodatabase. So it makes it really simple. So wind speed, we just want speed. Direction, we want direction. Humidity, humidity. Dew point was temperature range. Temperature surface was temperature range. Temperature 2 meter was temperature range, and then ground cover was the ground cover field with all those custom inputs that we could do. The notes, we don't want to have any domains because we just want to be able to free type in there. So then we hit finish. Okay, so it created our points feature class. If we want to make sure that it worked all right, we're going to go up to the editor, start editing. Click on here, create features, make sure it's a point, click it. So there's our point, and it's just in space right now because we don't have any base map or anything like that going on in the background. And then to make sure that it worked, if we click on the attributes for that point, you can see the wind speed, direction, those are all the fields we created. And then here are where we can input values that we're going to do next week. So what the domains did is create these options for the ground cover. But for wind direction, if you remember, if it goes over 360, it shouldn't like it. So if we do 361 and hit enter, it'll put it in, but once we stop it or save it, it'll say, hey, you can't do that because there's a domain saying you can't do that. And that just helps prevent user error. And there it is. That's kind of what it looks like. So that is how to create a geodatabase and set domains and create field types that will be used in the field next week when we go collect our data points.